But I did learn something this week I wanted to share with you guys
You
real
did?
quick. And I don't want to make the show political, but I learned something this week. And stereotypical stupid American doesn't know what else is going on in the rest of the world, doesn't realize
Hmm.
that, the rest of the world exists. I learned something shocking that gay marriage is not legal in Australia. And there's
No.
a big push for marriage equality there right now. I had no idea. Like, I figured because of how liberal Australia comes off, I figured, like, gay marriage had just always sort of been legal there. I found out that it's not. But then I got to thinking on the way home, and I mean, granted, this isn't by anything of their own doing. This is thanks to the Supreme Court. On the scoreboard of marriage equality across the globe, Australia, sit and think about something for a second. You're looking up at Alabama. So just take that in for a minute,
Fair
Australia.
point, Lou.
You are lagging behind Mississippi, Australia.
Begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly,
But still
they
you
don't
look
want
up
to be
at
ahead
them.
of you. They don't want to be ahead of you. They're in this race. They're doing everything they can to trip and fall on their own, so you pass them. But objectively speaking, Australia, you are lower on the totem pole of gay rights than Alabama, Mississippi, basically the SEC. The SEC is ahead of you as far as gay rights, and apparently they have some kind of vote next week for it. And if it doesn't go through, just Australia, just delete your country. Just be done. You're out.
Delete your country.
Just delete it. Be done.
Did you just Hillary them?
I just Hillaried the shit out of them, man.
Okay.
So we're going to meet in a secret hangar after this. Welcome to Riding the Pine, the only sports show on YouTube that has a general surgeon's warning for it. That's right. They suggest that you get 4 daily doses of this show.
That's too many doses.
That's
Way
far
We
too
don't
many
even do that
doses.
many.
Doses.
Far too many doses.
We do like 2 shows a week.
Yeah, you just really need to listen a lot because there's a lot of nuance. We are like that movie Magnolia. If you go back and you watch it like 12 more times, you'll get all of the jokes later. That's what we are. Anyways, this is Lou. I'm joined by Jake and John. We are switching things up a little bit. I just Trey Wingoed him, and I took away Chris Berman. That is Jake's position on NFL Live, and
I
am
was
now-
Chris Berman.
You were Chris Berman. I am Trey Wingo, and I have taken the control of the show from you.
If I had to be Chris Berman, you can definitely take control.
Okay, I'll take it. But we got a couple of things we're going to be talking about today. First and foremost, Andrew Luck, most highest paid player in the NFL, big contract extension for him with the Colts. And then diving from that right into NBA free agency and what we've seen there. And we're going to play a little game at the end of the show called What Makes More, Mazdov or this? And we're going to tell you a lot of things where the answer is Mazdov. Big news of the week, obviously, in the NFL. Andrew Luck signs the richest contract in NFL history, locks up with the Colts through the year 2021, and looks like the Colts have got their quarterback situation taken care of. What was you guys' initial response to it when you saw those numbers and saw everything for it?
Aaron Rodgers is gonna be pissed.
Aaron Rodgers
Because-
is going to be really rich in about 3 years, though.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
He
That's
sure
true. But man, I like Andrew Luck. He got the shit kicked out of him last season. But I sure like him more than like Jay Cutler or Eli, or even Phillip Rivers, who both of them were the highest paid before him per year. And man, yeah, good for Andrew Luck. I'm good with that. I'm fine with it. It's a lot of money, though. That's a whole lot of money. Meanwhile, we're seeing NHL free agents sign for like $5 million a year, and that's like a big deal.
They're breaking the bank at 200K, but this guy's going to walk away with that, after every practice.
It's pretty extreme, man.
So it's clearly a futures contract, right? They're going after what they think he's still,
Yeah.
what his potential
Yeah.
still is. And I think just on his potential alone, it's clear he's worth more than Jay Cutler. So it's good that he's making more money than him now.
Yeah.
Right. Now, how do you react? I mean, do you see this deal as a team friendly deal moving throughout the years? Do you see this as a good deal for the Colts, locking up their QB and saying, okay, we've got that objective taken care of. Now we know that we don't need to worry about this for the next at least 4 to 5 years, we don't have to worry about this. Let's focus on building around this guy. Do you see a benefit, or do you see the plus to that?
I would give you a tepid, stagnant, slightly lukewarm yes. Because even though they spent a ton of money, it's divided up, there's a bunch of incentives in it, things like that. They now have him locked in and can build a team around him. They can actually, it almost says yes. It's not, there's no question. This is us moving forward. They can build the team around him. That money's already been spent. It's already locked up. Obviously, the incentives are built in. A lot of this is crystal ball based because we aren't going to know shit until he's actually played the games. Injury can creep in, stuff like that. But I think because they can actually build around him, especially in the post Manning era, I think it was a good move. I think it will be team friendly.
Jakers?
Jakers. Yeah, no, this is team friendly. It's fine.
It is.
It's yeah, you got to lock him up, man. You don't want him going elsewhere.
No.
We've seen what he can do.
Exactly.
He's a good player. He makes some bad decisions sometimes, but honestly, he hasn't had a fucking offensive line since he got into the league, really.
No.
And this year is the first year we mentioned it in the first episode. They addressed the line. I mean, it's rookies and stuff, and I think they got like a free agent or something. But it can't be worse than last year, right?
Well, I'll put it this way, and to piggyback on that, Jake, to quote Jim Rome on his show on Wednesday when the news, or on Tuesday when the news broke, his kidney didn't lacerate itself last year. Okay,
yeah.
That was from being the most hit quarterback over the last 2 years in football. He's been the most hit guy in the game,
which by the way means that he got hit more than Ryan Tannehill. So,
well,
to hold that distinction, you have to have gotten hit more than Ryan Tannehill.
And Matt Stafford.
Exactly.
I think Tannehill at times thinks he forgets what position he's playing, and he thinks he's supposed to get hit by the defense. Like he thinks, we don't get a point if they don't touch me. So
he was a wide receiver.
I don't know. Yeah, he was. He was a wide receiver for so long. But with Andrew Luck, I mean, really, the Colts, all right, you locked him up. Now we have to acknowledge you have got to pour every bit of money you've got to into your offensive line because you've got a fairly solid wide receiver core, and you've got Andrew Luck tied up now. And I think we're going to find him. I really don't see the Colts ever going out and, some people have opinions on T.Y. Hilton. Some people think he's a lot better than I do. But I don't see the Colts ever going out and nailing grabbing onto a Dez Bryant or somebody like that. I think they're going to take the same route that the Patriots have taken, not to compare Andrew Luck in his third year to Tom Brady's legendary career, but I think they're going to take this route where they're going to put him with guys that are serviceable, and he's good enough to put the ball in their hands. Just keep his jersey clean, and he'll put the ball where it needs to go. They're going to get good route runners. They're not going to go get ultra superstars, is I think what you're going to see.
And you see that kind of in action anyways. T.Y. Hilton's probably going to be the best receiver he has for a long time. They might re-sign him and do a sort of a Peyton Manning sort of situation.
And lock him up the way they did with Harrison and then Pierre
Garçon.
Yeah.
Except hopefully he doesn't kill a guy. But I don't like he hasn't really had Booby Heron last year. And who are his running backs? They signed Richardson in a trade once and that was an upgrade, and he can't see things. Remember, he's whole blind. But so yeah, I feel like if you just give him, middle of the road receivers, like we see what happens with people like Wes Welker. Once they leave a system, they're not good. Like I don't think any of the New England Patriots receivers are really going to excel in other systems. Maybe with people like Aaron Rodgers or Andrew Luck, but that usually doesn't happen.
Right, and I mean, you and I could go out there and grab 5 balls a game from Aaron Rodgers or Andrew Luck or Tom Brady or one of these.
Yeah,
guys.
Maybe. I don't know if I could get open, but I could definitely catch one.
That's what I'm saying though, is that these guys they're going to go out and they need to put everything into that, and then also obviously second worst secondary in football for the past 2 years on average. Just played like garbage, giving up a ton of yards. So Andrew Luck has to be out there a whole bunch, and you have to have him score. he's got to score 24 points a game for these guys to have a chance. You can't continue to do that. Tom Brady can and will score 24 points a game, but he doesn't have to. Tom Brady can score 17 and still go 13-3. And he can do that because his defense has been that good. We saw that last year with the Broncos. Peyton wasn't going out there and putting a 35
so good at
spot
plug
on the
and
board.
play, man.
Yeah, they weren't out there putting a 35 on the board every week, but he was out there consistently winning because he had a defense. Granted, that's a legendarily good defense, but he had a defense that was able to support him, and so that's what the Colts have got to do at this point.
And for the record, the Cleveland Browns gave it the most quarterback hits last year with 123. The Colts were at 118.
Right.
So,
and what that was is because Josh McCown got nailed so hard, and they kept playing flippy floppy with whether they were going to play Johnny or Josh McCown.
Okay, to be fair, McCown got hurt on that one play where he tried to fucking Elway into the end zone and got fucking tumbled.
1.
It was great.
That was in week 1 or week 2, and that's
awesome.
That's when Johnny came in, and everybody thought he was going to be something because of a busted coverage on Benjamin. Everybody
and by the way,
Manziel would be somebody.
The third is Russell Wilson with 114 hits and 46 sacks. I'm pretty sure he took every one of those. That is my one big gripe with him. He takes so many hits and so many sacks, and most of it's because he's not tall enough to get out of there, but also he pops around a lot, and sometimes it makes up for like this really amazing play or whatever, but kind of a lot he kills a drive, and that's why I don't really like watching the Seahawks play.
Jake, do you think a big part of that too is the fact that the Seahawks have been so ground and pound heavy that they've gotten to a point now where they have to have teams put 8 men in the box to try and stop whether it's Rawls or it was Marshawn Lynch. They've got those extra guys, and then Wilson, whether he's not smart enough or whether his receivers aren't capable enough, don't take advantage of having those 8 guys in the box and don't find an open guy on a quick slant route. I mean,
he's just not a great quarterback.
To me, that's the quarterback's fault. If you've got that many guys loaded up in the box in you and you're still getting hit, you should be able to find somebody on a quick inside slant like that in the NFL.
Right, but he can't pop it over top of the line, which is something Drew Brees has learned to do, and after he left San Diego, that's what made him great. Is he was able to hit these short routes even though he's the same height.
But Drew Brees, that being said, isn't being blitzed nearly as much because I don't think, in my opinion,
he shoots out of the
say what you
shotgun.
will about Ingram, they haven't had a quality running game there in New Orleans since he's been there.
Oh God, no.
I mean, Ingram is okay. He's a great. Ingram is a great fantasy, touchdown hawk, but he's not a guy who's going to go out there and get 25 touches a game. So
yeah, usually not. Also, for the record, just to bolster the Andrew Luck is a good quarterback thing, hit the second most times, and of course, Hasselbeck has some of these from last season, but they had the 15 amounts of sacks. So right in the middle of the league, they only had 37 sacks.
He's getting rid of the ball. He's getting it out of his hand.
So exactly.
Yeah. So it's both, and he was in. When did he go out?
Well, he went out twice actually, because remember he came back to play that Thursday night game against the Texans in week 12 and went out instantly.
Yeah, so I mean he's probably down for at least half of those, if not more, because did he play more than Hasselbeck?
No,
I feel like
actually,
he was
I think
on the field a lot
more than him at the end.
But either way, those guys are getting the ball out of their hands. I mean, it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. And watching him, you don't watch Andrew Luck and go, oh yeah, he can't play football. Yeah. You watch, Rex Grossman, and you're like, oh no, that's not going to work out. And then they got to the fucking Super Bowl, and you're like, I still don't know about that. But you can see it when guys don't have it. Right. Like this is why later on, when the season's about to begin, I will make my case for Stafford being one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But he just. It never comes together because it's Detroit. Because when you look at him, he passes the eye test immediately. You never look at him and go, oh no, he cannot play quarterback.
And the thing that's so friendly about this for Andrew Luck is the fact that he's going to hit free agency. Now, granted, Andrew Luck, if he continues at the pace that he has, the amount that he's been hit, his 33 might be closer to like Brett Favre's 38. So we don't know based on how much he's been hit, but he's going to hit free agency again at 33. That's the most important thing when you're looking at signing your first non-rookie deal, your first big contract. you're looking at when am I going to hit free agency again, because it makes a big difference whether you're 33 or you're 34, how much tread you've got on the tires.
He'll sign the two most lucrative deals in football.
He will sign the two most lucrative deals probably in the history of football, hitting again at 33. So that's great.
Of course, that'll change eventually.
Now, that being said, to put it into perspective, we've talked about the impact, but we're looking at $140 million, $87 million quote-unquote guaranteed, and there's a lot of, that
it's
breaks
all
down.
Guaranteed when you're a quarterback, man.
Well, yeah, but you have injury guarantee.
Some of them are incentivized. Are a lot of his incentives? I don't know how much you looked into
his incentives.
I feel like they're snap count.
Well, there's snap count, games played, attempts, things like that. So, but
yeah,
they're not gigantic. To give you guys an idea, next year he will be paid $2 million more than the next highest paid player. Joe Flacco. Didn't think I'd be saying that word today. That just feels weird knowing that he is making more money than
Joe or Flacco?
Flacco specifically. Because
Okay.
Joe Montana might have come back from the dead to play in the NFL again.
He's alive still.
He's not on a field on Sunday. You're dead to me. Okay.
Oh, fair enough.
John, who do you see being the next guy who's really going to piggyback off of this and be that guy who's really going to bet? Because, I mean, that's the thing. Jake made the joke that, well, Aaron Rodgers is pissed about that, when in actuality we know that, no, these guys love to see another guy get paid, because then they walk into the meeting and say, hey, here's the new bar, here's the new level. Who's the next guy who you think is really gonna capitalize off this? Is it going to be Rodgers?
Oh, it's going to be Rodgers. There's no doubt about it. I think he'll capitalize more than anyone else.
Or Russell. Well, I don't know when his.
Russell Wilson's got 3 years. Or excuse me. No, they both only have 3 years left on their deal.
Yeah, so it's gonna be both of those guys. And if Rodgers isn't paid more, I'd be very surprised. I would bet money that he will wait to sign a contract until after Wilson does.
What about
make
Matt?
Literally $1 more than him.
What about Matt Ryan? What does this do for him? Does this elevate him at all, or unless he gets his team deep into the playoffs, it's not going to do anything?
He could try to ask for it, but I don't think they should pay it. He's not that great. He's a nice quarterback, but you could literally swap him out with Alex Smith and probably not notice a production drop off.
Yeah,
he's got a better arm than Alex Smith. Don't get me wrong; like they're obviously different players, but I don't feel like your completions and your touchdowns would dip that much, because you still have guys that can play with that guy. So yeah, Matt Ryan's just sort of like he's always gonna be in the bottom of the top 10 or top of the top 15.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah.
You know who I bet really would have waited for, or who wished this would have come out a little bit sooner, was Brock Lobster here in Houston. I bet Osweiler would have wished he would have waited a little bit longer, because that probably would have boosted him just another 3 or 4%. He probably would have made a little bit more money off of this deal. So I bet he's saying, God damn, my new interdivision rivals are screwing me in my bank account too. Fuck you guys.
Nah, you take that deal. I was watching a thing yesterday. And it was Brian Scalabrine, which was in the NBA, but it ties in. He in 2005 he was with the Nets, and he was just about to hit free agency, and that year it was like his best career year, basically. In the White Mamba, Brian Scalabrine, not the greatest basketball player of all time. So he finds out that he's gonna get this like 5-year offer from Boston or something. And it's for kind of a lot of money at the time, comparatively, and I don't know the number, but so he's like, man,
it was like $120,000 or something back then.
No, it was millions. It was a good deal, and maybe 15, 20, I don't know. It seems like too much to pay Brian Scalabrine even in 2005, but So he says, and he's talking like, so I'm thinking, yeah, Nick, I'm feeling big. I'm feeling like I got some bargaining power now. I'm gonna walk into the Jets GM's office, and we're gonna talk this out. I'm gonna try to get more money, or because he was a restricted free agent, so they would have to sign a matching offer and then at least pay him that much, right?
Kept him around if they wanted to.
At least pay that much. But he's gonna try to parlay that into like more money. From Boston or something. So he walks into the office, and he's like, here's what I'm going to make. And then immediately the owner stands up and goes, oh, you signed that deal. Oh man, we're gonna miss we're gonna miss you. But if you don't sign that deal, you are stupid. Walk away from me. So that's what I'm thinking. Brock Lobster's agent was like.
I think Brock probably thought he probably thought that they fucked up and they sent the wrong contract to the wrong guy,
right?
And they signed it before they could retract it, so he could say no backsies. I already signed it. There we go. We're done. So they faxed it back. Fax? Who the fuck fax machine? What am I talking about? Fax machine? Jesus Christ! What are we talking about? 1997 here, John. You had something there. You wanted to get in.
Oh no! Don't worry about it. The time has passed on it as well.
All right,
it happens.
Well, here's
just
my
like
final
fax
take.
machines.
I mean, yes. Is it a lot of money? Yeah. Is it a lot of guaranteed money? Yeah. It's the most guaranteed money that any player has ever been given in the NFL.
I feel like we knew that was going to happen, though, right?
Yeah, well, I think we all knew that was going to happen. But that being said, 2 points on this. One, if he's a top 3 quarterback in the league this year, when you've still got Rodgers, when you've still got Brady in the league, and you've got other guys out there like Ben, who's been consistent, who's been great over the last couple of years, when you've got Breeze, when you've got these guys still in the league, if you go out there and you're one of the top 3 for the next 5 years, absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth
he could
every
be
bit
top
of the money.
5 and still be worth it, man.
That being said, like with the Colts, you've got to put everything you've got into your offensive line at this point. You have got to go out there and keep this guy clean, because you cannot send your $150 million quarterback out there to just get trounced and get a dirty jersey every week, because the guy's going to end up getting killed. At the rate he's going, he's got a lower life expectancy than Evel Knievel or something like that. This guy is going to get killed on the field.
How's he stack up life expectancy wise to like Bangladesh?
Well, I mean, it's kind of the Australia-Mississippi thing. Like, he's looking up at the scoreboard, but he really shouldn't be. You know?
Yeah, I think if they don't, every year you've got to, in the top 3 rounds of the draft, you got to address the line. And
in free agency,
I feel like in free agency, you have to fill the holes while you wait for those guys to develop, and you should always be doing that. Always. That's a philosophy that not a lot of clubs have, because linemen aren't sexy picks. But those are the guys that win you games, whether you like it or not. It's so weird that we pay the quarterback a ton of money, and we pay the wide receivers, and you have like running back tandems, and we'll talk about them, and they get all the stats. But man, without a good line, none of that ever happens. I mean, We see it all the time. We see good quarterbacks in bad situations, and then Andrew Luck throws up a fucking turd last year, and then blows up his organs.
With free agency in sports like this, and free agency, really, this is an expiring topic to talk about, because on a contract for a guy like Andrew Luck, who's a superstar, this won't matter in a year, because remember 3 years, or was it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when Mario Williams went to the Bills? Oh my God, they're gonna pay him $87 million. What were they thinking? Now that's juvenile to think of $87 million being a big deal for a guy like that. Now for a top pass rusher like that. Now you've got the other guys who are making. Yeah, well, now you've got the guys who are making in the $100 million range for pass rushers. So the next guy who comes along, Rodgers, in a couple of years, will come along and shatter this deal.
I rarely have problems with NFL deals, because most of it's not guaranteed. How much is guaranteed? You say like $86 million?
$87 million.
So he's guaranteed the amount of money that Mario Williams signed for entirely.
Yes. I'm saying take that into perspective. And
right. No, I understand. And so NFL contracts don't bother me. Like, if he flames out, you're spending Mario Williams money, right? If he totally flames out, it's just Mario Williams. Meh. Okay, whatever. But the contracts that bother me in all professional sports are baseball contracts. Because they signed them for 7 or 8 years, and the last year of their contract, they're making $25 million fucking dollars, and they're batting .250, and you can't take them out of the lineup because you're not sending that guy down to AAA. He's out of minor league options anyways. Like, it's just a clusterfuck. They need to get their shit together, because the economy of baseball is super weird, and those are all guaranteed, and they don't have a cap. And yeah, it's crazy. So that's like why the Brewers they'll never be competitive.
That's 100% the Players Association, the Players Union in baseball.
Yeah.
I
don't blame them for it.
The most successful union in the history of our species baseball union, the Baseball Players Association of America, has never, ever lost a case one time when it's been taken to court. They've never, ever lost. They are the most successful union. They have accumulated more wealth for their members than any other union in history. They are the most successful one.
Parents, if you want to be one of those trophy kid like things, just make them play baseball. Don't do pageants or soccer.
If my kids want to play football, I'm just going to tell them to get on the court. No, they're going to play baseball or basketball. They're not playing football at this point. My superstar children are going to get guaranteed money. They're not going to go out there and get their brains bashed.
Also, don't play hockey.
Hey.
Come on. I love hockey. I love watching hockey. I go to fucking minor league games and enjoy the shit out of it. Those motherfuckers are underpaid. But
now,
to be fair, it's the NHL's fault because they're garbage at telling people games exist.
Now let's hop in our Wayback Machine, and I'm very rarely going to be critical of people and call them out specifically because once we have 2 or 3 million listeners on a weekly basis, I don't want to incite a hate mob against people, but. And I very rarely say anything critical of Skip Bayless because I love the guy. I absolutely I model my life after Skip Bayless. But
so you scored very
But Skip
few
Bayless,
points.
oh my goodness. Let's hop in the Wayback Machine and look at what you had to say. Back in 2012, RG3 clearly the pick for the Colts. Man. I think that anybody who ever even thought, you know what, let's take a look at RG3 instead of Andrew Luck should have to publicly apologize on the 50-yard line during the coin flip on the Colts home opener this year. Anybody in Indianapolis who said that they should have taken RG3, no, you should have to publicly apologize for that.
And that's not even the worst thing that he's said. Have you ever seen what he said about Manziel?
No, I'm pretty sure he said he was going to win 3 straight Heismans or something like that, or he said he will win the next 3 Heismans, whatever it was. Well, John, overall, I mean, do you see Andrew Luck being able to live up to this contract while Jake's looking that up?
As long as they get him a line, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to. The guy's he was a proven quarterback in college. I think he did pretty well first, coming out of the chute here. I honestly, if I was just say, oh yeah, right now I think he'll be a quarterback I would say he's going to have a Dan Marino type of career. Maybe not the record-breaking, a Dan Marino type of career. Maybe not the record-breaking stuff, but he's always going to be right there.
You don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl?
I certainly think he could. I just mean
that is the defining factor of Dan Marino to Jake
no,
and I.
Certainly,
he didn't win a Super Bowl. That's like the defining thing.
When people say like Dan Marino, I think, great stats, but never going to go over the top.
That's what I'm saying.
For some reason.
That is his defining factor of his career and of his life is you didn't win the Super Bowl. Does that suck?
He's one of the. But to be fair, he's like the second greatest quarterback of all time, maybe third at this point. I think Brady's probably better.
Yeah, I'd say third.
Yeah,
but he never won a Super Bowl, so he'll never be in that discussion. It's a weird thing. But what I mean by that whole thing is, so I think if
he's always going to be looking up at Trent Dilfer.
No, I don't buy into that bullshit. But I mean, clearly, Tom Brady, Montana, maybe Peyton, are like the guys on there, and then Marino's also there, but he's like the guy that doesn't have a girlfriend.
Exactly.
Yeah, that being said,
Marino's
fantastic on CBS Radio.
Oh yeah, he is here. But here's the thing with that. So what I mean is, what Andrew Luck needs to make sure happens is that when they build that line around him, that they also build a line that can block for the run, and he needs to make sure that he doesn't take his attempts part of his contract too literally. Because if he starts throwing 50 passes a game and isn't handing the ball off, he's just going to get run over. Unless they can get him a core of receivers.
Andrew Luck is Civil War general on the field, man. I mean, I know he looks like a Civil War general, and everyone makes that joke, but I mean, he legit is in charge out there, and he does a good job.
He really does.
And you can tell. Yeah.
He doesn't look like a young player out there. He walks out and you look like you're watching, if you were to take somebody who was frozen back in 2004, 2006, and bring him forward into the future and let him watch Andrew Luck, they'd say, "Oh, hey, Peyton changed his number." He's
no, exactly.
He's
I was going
to
to say that he looks like Peyton
out there. He commands
right.
so much attention from his guys. He doesn't look like a rookie. You don't hear anything bad about him. As far as the money, John, with him going for attempts and stuff, because there are some
incentives
in his contract. There are a couple of those. Whether he's making $150 million or whether he ends up making $142 million off of this deal, I don't think it matters to him. I don't think he gives a shit. So I think it means far more to him to go out there and win a Super Bowl and win as many games as he can.
I hope so. And I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm just saying, you hope that things like that don't happen, because you hear about things like that and all of a sudden guys, throwing the ball in the dirt on a busted play instead of trying to make something happen. Just to get that extra attempt.
Yeah. Well, now, and that being said, though, I mean, he's probably now he's not. This is something that usually applies to older guys when they're looking at their second contract, when they're in their early to mid 30s. But there's also a certain level of he doesn't have to worry about getting hurt anymore. Now he can just go out there and ball. He doesn't. Oh, which if he was ever worried about getting hurt, he really didn't show it. He did a very good job of hiding that fear from us because of how much he got hit. But no, I mean, he can just go out there and concentrate on ball and not have to worry about the money. So I'm good for him. Let him go concentrate on balls.
You just had to take that shot, didn't you? So back to the Skip Bayless thing. I know everyone was waiting on the edge of their seats for this.
Full circle.
Skip Bayless on the 9th of May, 2014, so only 2 years ago, said, and I quote, "Johnny Football will one day be bigger in Cleveland than his buddy LeBron ever was." This was at 2:35 in the PM.
Wow, so there's no excuse like he was drunk at a club at 3 in the morning or something.
No, this was like he had just walked off the set of First Take. Like, Johnny Football will one day be bigger in Cleveland than his buddy LeBron ever was. Does he mean like physical size? Like, Johnny Football's just going to be unemployed, move back to Cleveland for some reason, and then just eat whatever Clevelanders eat? What do you guys eat? Just donuts? That you
I think they eat a lot of
like
Polish food,
Lake
too.
Huron?
I think they eat a lot of like sausages.
Polish
and
sausages and yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
But he's just a small dude.
Now that I think about it, I've been to Cleveland and I don't think I ate while I was there.
I've been to Cleveland too, and I did not eat while I was there. So. Yeah.
Holy shit, I've been to Cleveland too, and I didn't eat while I was there.
Man, we were destined to do this.
I'm serious. I went to Cleveland.
Thank you, Skip Bayless.
I went to Cleveland for one day and had the flu while I was there.
You crossed the line into Ohio, and it's like, yeah, fuck your immune system, though.
Speaking about Andrew Luck, let's move into where all of the real action is happening right now in free agency. So through the power of editing and blind luck, we're going to move on to the NBA right now, which is sort of how some of these contracts are going down right now, is through blind luck out there. Jake, we've had a lot of guys. Obviously, you had a whole lot of action, there on signing day on Friday at midnight. You had a whole lot of action. DeRozan, Whiteside, both staying with their respective teams. You had a couple of guys.
I like that, by the way, because I don't wish DeMar DeRozan or Hassan Whiteside on anyone else. And here's the thing: they're both good players. They're both fine. DeMar DeRozan though hovers around like 42% from the field.
Right.
That's not okay. And he's a two guard. The two guard on your team should probably be your best on the ball defender. He is not a good defender. He basically is just a volume shooter. He's what Kobe was his like sophomore season, but never got past it. Right. He's an uber athlete. He's fantastic in that role. But man, he was overpaid. 5 years, 145. Got in comparison, the Pistons got Andre Drummond for 5 years, $130 million, and he's only 22 years old. To be fair, that he is like a player option at the end of the fourth year. But man, have you seen Hassan Whiteside's tweet?
I have not. Go ahead and read that out for our audience.
So Hassan Whiteside signed a 4-year, $98 million contract. He's not terribly I want to say durable. He's got feet problems like most big men, or knee and ankle and shit like that. His lower body shit going on. He came from the D League, so he's this kind of rags to riches story, and everyone's like, he's so good. And he's a decent player, but the way he's built, to me, just doesn't say he's gonna continue for a long time, because he's a big fucking dude. The only guy I've seen do it is Dwight Howard, who doesn't. Like, he's had some durability, throughout his career. He doesn't miss a lot of games, Dwight Howard. This guy missed all the playoffs last year, right? Like,
right.
he got knocked out, and then they lost. So, like, if you can't keep a guy at the end of the season, he's not worth it for you. But anyway, Hassan Whiteside, who is at Young Whiteside, I think, on the Twitter, he was flying out to L.A. either to a Clippers or a Lakers game to play, and he slid into the DMs of some chick, and from what it looks like, this could be allegedly, and it says, "Hey, do you know who I am? I'm about to go out to LA, and you're pretty cute. Just throwing that out there." And then she's like, "Yeah, I have no idea." He's like, "I'm Hassan Whiteside. And then he shoots a picture to her. "This is me with DJ Khaled," and it's fucking Hassan Whiteside and DJ Khaled in a fucking picture, and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Fine, you ain't that hot anyway, bitch."
That shows you, though. That really shows you, and this is across basketball. This is across everything with social media and everything. These guys are multimillionaires, and they're still having to work for it. You know what I mean? These guys should not have to be working for it, dude. You shouldn't have to be sliding into some girl's DMs. You're Hassan Whiteside. You're a fucking millionaire. Just show up at the club.
He wasn't a millionaire at the time.
You're going home with a 9, no problem, just being you. You shouldn't have to be working for it. You really shouldn't when you're an NBA player. You don't have to work for it, dude.
That's funny.
Don't. But now let me ask though about Whiteside. Re-signing there with the Heat. Do you see Dang? Luol Deng has signed for
with the Lakers
for $14 million a year with the Lakers. Do you see him moving away? Do you think that that's going to hurt his production at all?
Do I see Dang moving away hurting his production? Yeah.
Hurting Whiteside's production whatsoever.
Oh, no, not really. Dang,
I don't either.
He's not that huge facilitator. By the way, Dwayne Wade was part of the recruiting process for Hassan Whiteside, so he's probably staying.
Yeah, I know people were talking about the Clippers the Celtics really interested in Dwayne Wade, and people fantasizing about him showing up in Cleveland to reunite with LeBron maybe for one more championship.
It'd be cool if he decided to go
Miami.
I'd like to see him in Cleveland sign for the veteran minimum and just fucking go in there and man, that'd be good, because the Warriors, I'm worried they're going to get Durant, which is not an even toss, but a boy can dream about that finals.
Now, the other question, though, that they've got to get figured out before he ever even looks at anything is what's up with Chris Bosh. I mean, not a matter of is this guy going to be here? Is this guy going to be alive next year to play? I mean,
for those who don't know, Chris Bosh has been throwing clots for a long, 4 years now?
Yeah. Since he's been in Miami for about 5 years.
Yeah. He throws clots, especially near his kidneys, right? He's got some sort of issue going on. Which is bad, because they found one in his leg last time, and you can fucking die from that shit. And he's like, no, I want to play. And he's been taking blood thinners and stuff, which is scary, because he plays a contact sport, and if he fucking gets a pretty bad cut, he could die on the court, which I don't think would happen.
Not only that, but plays blood thinners so that that's going to obviously hurt his endurance while he's out there on the court, because as your blood is thinned out,
but he's like pterodactyl Snoop Dogg athlete, so it just doesn't seem to affect him. I've never looked at him and thought, oh man, he is way fatigued right now. Plus they play him in batches. I think they do a good job with minutes with him. And he's, not really a banger. He's more of a mid-range guy anyways. So, I don't know. I like Chris Bosh's game. I think he's still a good player. He's still effective. It'd be sad to see him kind of go like that, because he's kind of just one of those guys that's always worked hard. You know what I mean? He's kind of one of those guys you want to play with. And, I don't know. It sucks. That's a shitty situation. But if you got a player like Hassan Whiteside, you want to stretch 4, regardless. Right. Which is kind of why the Pistons went out and got Tobias Harris and Marcus Morris, because that way they can have stretch 4s going up against them. Because once you have that defensive center, like a straight defensive rebounding, so he'll grab 10 points every once in a while, center, you can really make the rest of your lineup about offense. As long as you have like one guard out there that can really defend,
right?
Maybe a D&3 guy, but Bosch, man, he's I don't want to see him die on the fucking court. Basically,
yeah.
If he's got to go, just go, man. It's fine. It's okay, and I understand not wanting to, but the last thing I want to see for that guy is to fucking go out, in a regular season game in Milwaukee. That's not how it should work.
Right, exactly. And by the way,
just jump on the bench.
When you make Pterodactyl Snoop Dogg a hashtag, make sure you get the P at the beginning and there are 2 G's at the end.
Spelling correction. Jokes. This wasn't a joke. He's making sure that the Pterodactyl Snoop Dogg is spelled correctly so that we can all start we're going to make it trend.
Actually, thank you, John, because that's one of the worst things is whenever there's a word that isn't an everyday use word that gets a hashtag going on Twitter, there will be 12 different hashtags of it going with different spellings, and it'll be wrong. So that's something I see pretty regularly. Thanks, autocorrect. Now, staying in the East, obviously one of the big splashes as far as making news was my good old buddy Dwight Howard going back home, going to Atlanta. Signing a 3-year, $70 million deal. He's going to be there. Now, the question is, what's going on? The biggest question, and we can get to Dwight Howard's play and all of that. The biggest question is, what are the Hawks going to do with Al Horford?
I think the biggest question is, when did Atlanta change their name to the Knicks?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really sad about that.
Damn it.
Are we all sad? They got Joakim Noah, the Knicks did, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's not Dwight Howard. That's not what I wanted for this offseason. We talked about it. That would have been the Nickiest team of all.
That would have been
teams.
The Nickiest thing ever.
Right. They maybe would have changed their uniform so that they wore knickerbockers, like actual real ones, because it was such a Knick team.
So Howard is coming in, and he's going to be there. Here's the thing: everybody is very critical of Howard, and actually, I thought that I was really critical of him as far as how much he was going to make. I really didn't think he was going to be in that $20 to $25 million range. I did not think he was going to make that. I thought he was going to be closer to 16, 18. Well, no, and that's there were articles out back at the end of the season from guys like Woj saying, "Hey, look, if this guy is going to go to a contender, he's not going to be able to get a max deal going to contender. The money's just not going to be there. It's just not going to be available for him."
I'd call the Hawks a contender, though.
Okay, if you're in the East and you're not from Cleveland, you're really not a contender right now.
Well, I don't know. I
maybe
think
Toronto, maybe, but no. Cleveland
I like
outclasses
Dennis
everybody else there.
Dennis Schroeder, Paul Millsap, Dwight Howard, even Korver. That's a pretty good core, I think.
So here's the question then is Dwight going to be happy? Because when he's happy, the guy's an instant double-double. He's going to go out there and he's going to go out there and get 15 and 10 for you every night. He's going to go and make that happen. The question is he going to remain happy? Is he going to be able to not have any drama in the locker room? And then, hey, here's the other thing. What's going to happen with Horford?
Horford's out. Horford's probably.
I assume he's gone, and I assume they think he's gone too.
Horford is being courted by a lot of places,
including the Thunder,
Portland, the Thunder,
Houston,
the Warriors. Yeah, Houston. Everyone's going after Horford. Basically, he's gone. He doesn't need to be there anymore. The thing is,
but you say
Horford and Millsap,
but he doesn't need to be there. So I mean,
Horford and Millsap have a very similar game. They'll both pop out into the mid range, and they're both kind of Millsap's more athletic, but they both kind of don't play in the paint as much. Now you pop Dwight Howard down in there, and they spread the floor like crazy, but they can still rebound effectively because Dwight does that. So now you have, it just spreads the floor even more for the shooters that Atlanta has, including Paul Millsap. I think it's a really good move. I think it's an excellent move, and if he stays healthy, it's going to be a good job. And he's going to get plenty of touches. They run this really fun offense, and they haven't had really uber athletic guys to be able to lob with. And Dennis Schroeder is kind of one of those, because they got rid of Teague. So Dennis Schroeder is the new starting point guard for sure. And he's kind of one of these, I want to run and play basketball guys. And I see him and Dwight Howard getting along really well, because Dwight Howard's going to make his assist numbers look really good, which is going to be really good for his money later.
Right, and also there's not another. I mean, not to say that Millsap isn't, won't be this guy, but there's not another gigantic ego there like what you had with with Harden here in Houston.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be that conflict. And really, at the end of the day, that was the biggest criticism that anybody ever had here in Houston, was never Dwight's play. Like I said, when the guy's happy, he's an instant double-double every night. The question is, is he going to be able to keep his ego in check? And how much of his money? Now, here's the interesting thing. We're looking at $70 million over the next 3 years. Over under 45%. How much of that is going to child support for his 19 children that he has out there?
Are you kidding? He has 19 children?
No, he's got something like 7 with like 5 different women. But
that's still a lot.
Yeah. I'm
yeah, but does he slide into DMs like Hassan Whiteside?
No, he does it the right way. He doesn't go out there and work for it. He just lets it happen at the club. He's not doing it like Whiteside.
That's way better. Way better.
He's not doing it like Whiteside. No, that blows my mind.
Good for him.
How do these guys not go get reversible vasectomies? That blows my mind whenever you come into the NBA. That should
I don't get it either. Are they worried about?
If I was an agent, the first thing I do when I'm sitting there with mom,
that's
dad,
one of the first
kid,
things they do, by the way, especially in the NFL.
Mom, dad, and kid, when they sit down, hey, Mom, can you go out and get us some coffee real quick? All right, Dad, need to talk with you and Junior. Okay, you just got selected by the Bulls. Here's what you're going to do. I'm going to put you in this van. We're going to take you to this doctor. He's giving you a vasectomy, okay? Boom.
But that doesn't even always work. Look at what happened to Crow Marty. He's got 100 kids by 5,000 different women.
Yeah, but...
And he just had... they just had another kid after getting a vasectomy.
Yeah, but at least that's with his wife. At least that's the same woman. It's not just girls that he's sliding into DMs in whenever he goes to LA.
That's not what DMs are. You're thinking of vaginas.
Is that how babies work?
Yeah.
I thought the birds and the bees. I thought it was the Twitter bird. I thought that's how that worked. I didn't understand how babies come about.
Moving away from the sex talk.
Did that one bomb?
We're gonna go to Matthew Dellavedova because I think it was hilarious. So Matthew Dellavedova, former point guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers behind Kyrie, decent player, good player, plays hard defense, hustles his ass off, and shoots threes or something. White guy, doesn't really matter. He went to the Milwaukee Bucks where he belongs, and
with his kind.
He signed a 4-year, $38 million deal. Good for him, which is almost $10 million a year. Great for you. But he was a restricted free agent, so the Cavaliers had 72 hours from the time he signed that to match. But kind of similar to the Scalabrine story I told you earlier, I was on Twitter and I follow LeBron James, and LeBron's like, "Hey, you earned it.
Congrats!
Have fun.
Way to go,
have
man.
fun in Milwaukee." Like,
you and your family.
No, he's gone.
Really, you know what the best part
gone.
is at the end of the tweet he says, "You and your family really deserve this," and I would take that LeBron James does not like my family very much.
because Milwaukee.
Aww. Because Milwaukee is Milwaukee. Yeah, you and your family deserve to be destroyed by me on the court 4 times a year.
You know what though? I find this to be an excellent deal because I feel like Dellavedova could start for a team. He's a decent guy. He can run an offense. He's not like explosive by any stretch. But in comparison, Mike Conley for the Memphis Grizzlies, who was unanimous best point guard in the free agency class this year, 5 years, $153 million.
This is the Andrew Luck contract of the NBA right now.
He's making $11 million more dollars than Matthew Dellavedova.
Wow.
What? That's crazy
and truth
talk.
Be told, and Jake,
he's a good player.
This is something that we've touched on a little bit in the past. Truth be told, it should be a whole hell of a lot more than that, actually, because of the way the max contract deal works in the NBA. It really should be a lot more than just that.
See, the thing is, though, Conley and Dellavedova don't have that big of a split between them. The only thing, like skill-wise, in my opinion, Conley is a better player, for sure. But he's like a BA and Matthew Dellavedova is like a BB.
Right, but where I'm going
like,
with that is I'm saying that the top tier guys really are handicapped, and we've talked about it a little bit, that the top tier guys are really handicapped by these max deals. I know it sounds, cry me a river, you just made $153 million, I understand. But for these guys to go out there, and truth be told, I've always subscribed to the theory that this is really detrimental to the NBA, because if max contracts are the way they are, and based on your tenure in the league, you can only make X amount of money from any team regardless of where you're going. What that does is that makes all the teams a commodity. Milwaukee will never be able to attract in the NFL, the Bills were able to attract Mario Williams because they could offer him more money than anybody else. But if them and the Patriots could offer him the same amount of money, why would he go to the Bills?
No, that's not how it works in the NBA. The way it works in the NBA, it's called bird years. Are you familiar with bird years? So if you spend 3 years or more with a team, you get bird rights, and bird rights mean they can go over the salary cap to pay you more money. So what can happen is he can get paid more from the Memphis Grizzlies than he could get paid anywhere else. So it helps the Memphis Grizzlies not get outspent by someone like the Lakers or the Celtics. Now, I agree with you in a way. I think the cap on a player's potential salary is bad, but I like the idea that the team can retain you by being able to pay more. So there's not really a way you can do it unless you just do it in contract years. Like, I can add another year to your contract. That's fine. But so places like Milwaukee actually benefit from this because they're gonna be like, that's probably the only reason that like Andre Drummond's staying in Detroit. You know what I mean? He gets an extra year and more money.
Yeah, he's going to get an extra $12 million for doing it. What I'm saying is if you have a guy, say you had a toxic situation, like, okay, perfect example. We just talked about Dwight. Dwight is going somewhere. The Hawks and the Bucks could offer him the same amount of money. The Lakers and the Trailblazers could offer him the same amount of money, assuming they had the cap space. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about retaining your own guys. I'm talking about a situation, and we were talking about Conley and him, so that was a bad time to bring it up. But I'm saying if you have a free agent that's leaving and he is going on the open market, I despise the idea of the max contract deal, because it'll keep a team like the Bucks from offering a guy, say it was for Chandler Parsons, his max that he can do is $98 million. Why would he go to the Bucks as opposed to the Lakers if they were both going to offer him that?
Right. And I guess I get that.
Those smaller markets aren't going to be able to attract free agents. They have to survive 100% off of their drafting ability, and I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, part of me is also like, well, then why the fuck are you in Milwaukee? Like that's not. No one's keeping you there. No. You know what I mean? By the way, the Grizzlies look better now because they have Parsons and Conley.
Ooh, Milwaukee though, people are keeping them there. There's a whole big fight going on between the city and trying to get the new stadium built. That's a nasty situation.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. Well, the thing is, Scott Walker, their governor or whatever, he went and paid for the Milwaukee Bucks to stay in town instead of like education. Fucking priorities, Scott Walker. I would agree with that economy wise if it was the Packers. Like, you don't take the Packers out of Wisconsin,
right?
But the Bucks,
even the Brewers. Why would you sacrifice it?
Do they have a hockey team? Those guys can go too. Like, just you like, it doesn't matter. But
their hockey fans, just get rid of all of them.
So it's a big clusterfuck in Milwaukee. I would not be surprised if the Milwaukee Bucks are someday the Seattle SuperSonics.
Oh my God, that would be wonderful. I've been to one NBA game in my entire life, and it was in San Antonio. What? And I got to watch.
Man, I've been to so many.
It was a playoff game too, Seattle and San Antonio. I'm pretty.
That's great.
I'm pretty sure San Antonio would have been playing in that game. Yeah.
Did Sean Kemp try to do a keg stand?
Right in the middle, right on the court, right in the middle, halftime.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of NBA games. I'm shaking Grant Hill's hand. I got Tayshaun Prince's autograph the year he blocked Reggie Miller. And Darvin Ham. So
Hakeem
it wasn't all a win.
Hakeem Olajuwon knocked a beer over onto me.
So. I met Ben Wallace, who was humongous and scary, especially for a 15-year-old white kid. from the woods in Michigan. So
you brought up
something.
Jake. You brought up Chandler Parsons there with the Grizzlies for a second. Obviously,
4 years,
I'm
94.
4 years, $94 million. Excuse me, not 98. I don't know. Obviously, he went there over the Trailblazers, and good choice for him. Makes a lot more sense going over to Memphis.
It's a good situation for him.
It's a real good situation for him. Let me ask you this: I was one of the. I have very rarely sided with Mark Cuban in my life. This was one instance where I sided with Mark Cuban, and I said, "Hell no, I'm not giving this guy a max deal." And I made the joke yesterday while I was reading which really upset David. I was reading a joke on CBS Sports. I think it was Dan Hubbard who had it up, and he made the comment. He said, well, if Parsons can turn into a perennial all-star contender, then he's worth this money. And I said, hey, you know what? He's never been to an all-star game. How about that's a new rule? You got to go to an all-star game at least once before you're allowed to make max money, okay?
You know,
you
part
gotta
of me
go
agrees with
once.
that. Part of me agrees with that, and the other part of me thinks, man, the small forward position is stacked with
right.
Like no matter what he does,
Yeah.
he's either got Durant or LeBron already, two of the best three players, and there's just so many guys at the three spot that are the dynamic players.
Yeah, especially
he's
in the West,
he's a solid good player, and he hasn't, if he's had knee issues.
Right, and that's where I was going with that is really where I'm not a fan of giving this guy this money. What's happened to him in the last 11 months? He's had microfracture surgery to end his season, and then he's had a meniscus, not tear, but a meniscus strain that needed surgery to end this past season. Played in one playoff game for the Mavericks. I don't give that knee. I don't give his left knee $94.8 million. I don't cut that check.
Yeah, probably not. Man, I injuries are a thing you got to fucking take into consideration. The Grizzlies, though, if he stays healthy, that's a great deal. It's only $94 million over 4 years for a guy who is capable of being one of the best players at the position. So, it's kind of a gamble, but you have Mike Conley, you have Gasol.
Yeah,
you have
Gasol and
Chandler
Conley
Parsons.
there, so you're in
That's
a
such a Memphis Grizzlies looking team, right?
It's such a fast, good, gonna get up the court and gonna play smash mouth basketball team right there.
I'm probably gonna like watching the Grizzlies next year.
They've always been fun for the last 5 to 6 years. They've always been a fun team to. They've always been a fun team to watch. No, I just was shocked to know that he was in contention for that. I really thought that Cuban was in the right here not to give this guy, especially with Dirk aging and with the Mavericks fading into irrelevancy right now. I really don't think it would have made money or made sense to spend the money on this guy for his knee right now. Didn't agree with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Is there any? We could talk about Kent Bazemore going to Atlanta. 4 years, $70 million. I like Kent Bazemore. I feel like he was overpaid. But again, I like the Hawks.
Yeah, well,
and I think he should play the 2 guard instead of the small forward. But Batum signed a huge fucking deal. 5 years, $120 million. He's one of my favorite players. Do you know why? Because he's a 5x5 guy. Do you guys know what a 5x5 is?
What is a 5x5 guy?
That's 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks.
Oh,
he could do that.
He's a quintuple single guy every night. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm good with that.
Yeah, no. He can just do it all, and he does all of it pretty well. He's not LeBron, who is the 5x5 guy. Clearly, just look at his final stats. But man, the Hornets have this weird team with Kemba Walker at the helm.
Yeah.
Who just is the least efficient player I've ever seen. he just jacks shit up all the time. It's going to be weird to watch that team. I think they're going to have some nights where they score 130 points and other nights where they score 80 because they just have this weird composition.
So on to staying in the East, well, not staying in the East, but staying on the East Coast and moving a little further north, we go to New York, where the Knicks have been all the talk of not only the sports world, but mine, John, and Jake's hope and dreams over the past week, hoping that we would get to see Dwight Howard there. But hey, we got sort of the second best thing. We got a guy with a big temper, a moody guy with a big temper also. who's going to make a splash with their media is Noah finding his way to the Bulls. 4 years, 3 years, 70 or 4 years, $70 million, $19 million deal. What do you guys think about Noah making his way to the Knicks?
I like it. I like it because now your starting lineup is Derrick Rose, whoever they can stick at the 2. Maybe the coach, Jeff Hornacek, can put some sneakers on and go back out there. Carmelo Anthony at the 3, of course. Kristaps Porzingis at the 4, stretch 4, and then Noah down in the middle. I like that, and I think Kristaps Porzingis is going to get the shit kicked out of him like 3 times this season. Just by being the puff guy in there.
When I saw this, if I was excited for this team when I saw that Noah was going to make his way there, and when you've got a core of Melo, Rose, and Noah, if it were 2012, I'd be so excited for the Knicks right now. But unfortunately, it's not. So,
like 2012, the year the Mayan calendar said the world was going to end.
If this were 2011, oh my God, pencil them in for the finals right now.
Yeah, probably. You're not
if
wrong.
If this were 2011, pencil them in. But for right now, I'm not particularly excited about this. I mean, Rose is coming off his second worst season for points and assists. Also, his free throw percentages. I mean, he is just not. He has not gotten to the line over the last 2 years. Or his past 2 seasons.
I just want him to run pick and rolls forever and never try to be Derrick Rose from back in the day ever again. Like, you're not that Derrick Rose. Just run an offense. You don't have to be. You can be Mike Conley. I know he has it in him to be Mike Conley, who has averaged less than 14 points for his entire career.
Right.
Derrick Rose, you can do that. Most people, Jeremy Lin can do that. You can do this. Just pass the ball, and you're not the number one guy anymore. The number one guy on that team should probably be like Carmelo, probably, but Porzingis. He's gonna be your number one guy, like halfway through the season.
I mean, he's gonna run the offense, but that was gonna be a question I had for you guys. Who is the number one guy there? I mean, you've got
Carmelo. Carmelo can score on
Carmelo,
anyone,
but
he's not old. I mean, he's LeBron's age, dude. Like is LeBron old? Not really. He's like a year older than LeBron.
League for 12 years. Let me rephrase it like that.
I agree with you.
For forever.
Right. But he seems happy with Lala. You know, she seems fine. His wife is Lala from MTV.
What does she do? Does
she
like design curtains or something? Or
probably she's a curtain designer.
She's like
those are big.
Right, you're big in the curtain design game, John. What do you think of Lala?
Well, I thought last year's line was pretty good, but this year, I don't know. There's just something lacking from her latest collection. I don't know shit about fucking curtains.
I don't even know if she does curtains.
No, she does something. She's some kind of designer or something.
Sure,
like
who
that.
knows? Well, no, she wasn't like, BET or MTV, one of those music channels when there was actually music. But man, no, he's gonna score 20 points a game still.
Right.
This actually helps Carmelo. It takes some pressure off him. He doesn't have to bring the ball up so goddamn much.
And for sure. And not only that, but having Noah down there, having Noah in the paint's definitely gonna draw a tad bit more attention. That being said, a lot of people are worried about whether Noah, really still not has the physical ability, but still really wants to go out there and bang with guys. I'll tell you this: I'll take Noah at $70 million over Robin Lopez at $54 million any day. So
and they shipped him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They made a good deal by getting rid of him.
Isn't it weird how Noah was kind of part of that deal?
Well, they can't say that he was because that was before midnight on Friday night. But
but he was kind of part of that deal. Yeah,
yeah.
Like
he was gonna be there.
I'm sure Derek was kind of like, "Hey, no, Joakim, why don't you come over here with your Aquaman looking ass and let's go rebound in fucking New York for a while." And Joakim Noah's like, I was gonna go do meth down in Florida, but I guess we're gonna do this now. So yeah, it'll be a decent team. I think they'll probably maybe they'll win a first round in the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna ever get over the hump with Derrick Rose at the helm or Carmelo Anthony on a team. I like Porzingis and Noah's fine, and I'm kind of hoping that some of the Noah fire rubs off on Porzingis because he just kind of looks like a goopy motherfucker out there. He kind of looks like Gumby. just who found out he could shoot a jumper. It's super weird.
Huh. Now the only thing that I think would make this better is if somehow, Jeff Hornacek were to get offered some stupid money to go somewhere else and they were to call Thibodeau and they made this thing happen. That's the only way the Chicago Knicks, or excuse me, the New York Bulls, that's the only way that this would be better, is if somehow Thibodeau wound up there. That would be fun.
So, yeah, I think it's probably time to talk about who did the worst job so far. And I don't know, it's a toss-up for me. Is it the Magic, the Orlando Magic, who got rid of Victor Oladipo? Their first-round draft pick was Sabonis, and was it Monteanis? And they shipped him off to Oklahoma City for Serge Ibaka, who's not great. And then they went back and signed Evan Fournier for a 5-year, $85 million contract, who's a decent player. He's a decent player. And then Jeff Green for 1 year, $15 million.
Shocking.
Jeff Green, who is he's never been good. He's always kind of been like, yeah, he'll be good next year. And it just never happens. And then they go out and sign a backup point guard, DJ Augustine, for 4 years, $29 million.
Which, I mean, honestly, that's you're not breaking the bank on that one. I mean, in
But
today's
DJ
NBA,
Augustine.
right? But in today's NBA, with the cap going up by, what did it go up by? $24 million.
Yeah.
$23 million. That's what an Augustine is worth now. He's gonna walk away with 8 or 9 just because of how much the cap has exploded now. That being said, now the fact that Augustine is walking away with a little over $9 million a year and Jeremy Lin is only making about $5 million more than that a year at this point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no one likes him.
That's atrocious.
Well, my problem is they have Brandon Jennings already, who is better than DJ Augustine. Why are you paying that much money for that guy? They have Aaron Gordon, who now has to compete with Jeff Green for a roster spot because Jeff Green's making $15 million. Aaron Gordon's the guy that needs that floor time to be better. They also got Jody Meeks. We just traded, the Pistons just traded Jody Meeks and dumped like $8 million worth of salary on Orlando for like a second round pick. They have Elfrid Payton, who's probably the starting point guard next year. They have these players, and then all of a sudden they add people for no reason. It doesn't seem to make any basketball sense to me. I don't understand it.
Nope.
I just, but is this worse than what the Lakers are doing?
Well, the Lakers have definitely been the highlight, and I guess we can move on to, oh God, let's talk about Timothy Mozgov. Timothy Mozgov, a guy who for his career has averaged 6 points a game and 4 rebounds, not 4 offensive or defensive rebounds, 4 rebounds total for his career. In the finals this year, scored an average of 2.3, or excuse me, he scored 8 points in the finals. So to give you guys an idea, that's
right.
Ooh, he is walking away with $64 million from the Lakers.
Yeah, that's
shocking.
That's crazy.
Shocking.
Joakim Noah's making what, $8 million more than him?
Joakim Noah, well, and that's one of the things we put together. Yeah, Joakim Noah is making $8 million more than he is. That's shocking.
Crazy. That's crazy. And then the Lakers also signed Jordan Clarkson, who some people like. For 4 years, $50 million though. 50.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
That's and that's not a symptom of this NBA. That's a symptom of the Lakers Lakering like crazy.
Mozgov, what did you say yesterday? What you showed me the rankings of the centers in the NBA.
Here's how it went with the centers last year. Out of 76 centers who clocked at least 15 minutes on the court this year, number 76 was Roy Hibbert. Obviously, Hibbert's gone.
Right.
We don't know where he's going to wind up. If he winds up with an NFL team, he'll probably be working Progressive Auto Insurance or something.
That'd be weird if he ended up on an NFL team.
Oh, that would be an NBA team. Excuse me. We don't know if he's going to wind up with somebody. Everybody's saying, hey, the Lakers, you screwed up. Actually, they improved because Mozgov was rated the 75th best player. And in my industry with sales guys, you have something that's called the pay step, where guys who've been doing it for 1 year to 8 years make this much, but then the real pay step is when you've been doing it for 9 years. Apparently, we found the pay step in the NBA, and then your pay explodes. We found the pay step for centers in the NBA. It's 76 to 75. That's the real step right there. That's where guys are going to get paid.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous,
crazy.
Man.
This is crazy. Just to put this into perspective for you guys, I did a lot of note taking yesterday, and I wanted to put some things together. I wanted to give y'all an idea. Now, to give you an idea, in comparison, his $16 million a year he's going to be making for the next 4 years. Steph Curry will be making $11 million this year. Put that into perspective. Granted, in 2 years he'll be the highest paid player in the NBA, but
yeah,
$11 million for Steph Curry.
Also, he has that dad shoe deal with Under Armour.
He does, but he's getting paid for those dad shoes, dude. He's getting paid for those dad shoes.
I like those shoes. I'm going to buy those shoes and wear them only when we record, just for you two.
Well, yeah, they help your circulation out.
To give you an idea, compare it to other sports. Mozgov will be going home with this year in 2016-2017 season. He'll be taking home more money than 30 of the 32 starting NFL quarterbacks. He'll be taking home more money than them. He'll be taking home more guaranteed money than any quarterback in the NFL this year. He'll also be taking home more money than every wide receiver and every running back in the NFL. Every one of them, he's getting paid more. We have guys that are going into the Hall of Fame easily, like Adrian Peterson. He's going to out-earn Adrian Peterson this year. Just, man, think about that. Also, here's another one. If you look at Mozgov's entire deal, if you were to take his entire $64 million and you were to compare it to this season, he is making more money than the Arizona Diamondbacks. The entire 25-man roster is making $59.6 million. He's taking home 64. So he will make more money than that entire 25-man roster.
That's not great.
And also staying in baseball, the last two Cy Young winners, last year's AL and NL Cy Young winners, Dallas Keuchel and Jake Arrieta, he will be making more money than both of those guys combined by approximately $1.1 million this year.
Not bad.
Ooh.
I think...
Ooh.
Well, so does that mean... Okay, so are we expecting Mozgov to really take a step forward here because he gets playing time now, or...
I can't wait to see if our audience hasn't seen these. Go Google Timothy Mozgov commercials, and he has done these commercials for some local bar there in Cleveland. And he's a Russian guy. He barely speaks English. He sounds like he's tone deaf. He sounds like Andre the Giant or something. And he's doing these commercials where he's wearing his jersey backwards, which isn't a joke. Like, they don't tell you why he's doing it or something. It's not like the deals are so great you'll get turned around. It's nothing like that. I can't wait to see the commercials that he does in LA. Those are going to be fantastic.
That's pretty fantastic. That's pretty great. I think.
No, I mean,
poor Timothy Mozgov.
Poor him. What are you talking about? Poor him walking away with $16 million a year.
He scored 475 points last year. Steph Curry made 400 threes last year. he scored 75. He scored 75 more points than Steph Curry made threes. That's fucking ridiculous.
Well, here's the funny thing. If you search for Timothy Mozgov highlight videos on YouTube, there's not one that's more than 38 seconds long. That's as long as they are because they can't show you the same two plays 14 times without getting bored of it.
He gets paid roughly $500,000 per assist. He had 33 assists last year.
Oh my god. So do the Lakers have any chance at returning relevancy in the next... I would say, I'm going to put it on this, 7 years. Are they back to relevancy? Not contention, relevancy in 7 years.
Nobody is under contract in 7 years, so maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. They're going to have that guy they just drafted, and probably D'Angelo Russell.
Well, the thing about the Lakers, why I never count them out, is because they're LA and because they have that history and because they can attract free agents by being LA. I never count them out, but man, if you don't see them make the playoffs for 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised.
This is great, man. This is great. I'm loving this new NBA. Fucking go Milwaukee.
It's pretty crazy out there. Well, guys, did y'all have anything else that y'all wanted to discuss on the show? I'm sorry, this was kind of a shit show that got thrown
How many are there any more things that Timothy Mozgov makes more than?
Well, those were the top 10. Those were the ones that I wanted to put together. If some of the ones that didn't make the list but were up there. So another one that Timothy Mozgov makes, if you wanted to make more money than Timothy Mozgov just will make in 2016, if you were a NASCAR driver, you would have to win the Daytona 500 for the next 12 years in a row. That's what you'd have to do. Or you would have to win the Sprint Cup. You'd have to actually win the NASCAR championship for the next 3.5 years.
That's not bad.
That's totally doable.
Jimmy Johnson's got
so
this.
Many times.
Right, yeah.
Oh, dude, we're going to call Rusty Wallace out of retirement, and he'll take care of it.
Rusty fucking Wallace.
But yeah, it's pretty atrocious, the things that Timothy Mozgov makes more money than. And the Lakers should be ashamed of themselves. Russia should be doing backflips right now. Russia, or not backflips, but the kicky dance that they do whenever they get down low.
Kicky dance.
The kicky dance that they do in Russia. Yeah. They should be ecstatic. No, but the entire state of California. I wish David were here today so we could just blame this all on him and his shitty state and just tell him how inferior. You know what? Australia, delete your country. California, delete your state. You're done. You don't get to do this anymore.
You heard it here first.
So Lou continuing to make enemies. He's got Russia, Australia, and California
I just said Russia
calling for Texit now. You just keep piling them
Russia
up,
should
Lou.
be ecstatic.
Hashtag Texit.
But okay, well, fine. Fuck Russia.
So I guess we should finish off today's episode with a little celebration. No, it's not the 4th of July.
Nope.
It has nothing to do with the independence of the United States from the oppression that was the King of England. No, friends, family members, lovers, and fans. It is Bobby Bonilla Day. July 1st, so 2 days ago, as of the time this came out, Bobby Bonilla Day. If you don't know who Bobby Bonilla is, he was a man who played for the New York Mets 5,381 days ago, 2 days from July 1st, and so every July 1st through 2035. The New York Mets pay Bobby Bonilla $1,193,248.20 every July 1st. It's so good. It's so fucking good. He makes more money than like half the Mets, and I'm not exaggerating. Half the current Mets make less.
Think about having to write that check and writing that whole thing out and then having to put a .20 at the end of it.
You've got to write that 20, because, 2 years ago they left the 20 cents off. They just rounded it down. He called him like 15 minutes later, said, "Hey, I got the check, bitch. Where's my 20 cents?
Yeah, man.
That's cheese. That's extra cheese on my burger, quote unquote cheese on my burger at McDonald's right there. Okay, I want that extra 20 cents.
Okay, so how do we get to this point? Okay, so basically, the Mets owed Bobby $5.9 million for the 2000 season. That's the last time he played, and they no longer wanted him. And this is from ESPN. So what the club did is they negotiated to attach an 8% annual interest rate to that money. And then the clock started in 2000, and so that adds up to $29.8 million to not pay him $5.9 in 2000.
Is that being compounded every what?
Yeah,
like 12
I think it's
minutes or something?
It's
how
8% annual. 8% annual.
So it's being compounded one time a year.
Right. And the first installment of the payout wasn't until 2011, July 1st, 2011. and this is their 6th installment
Jesus
of that
Christ.
payment. That's such a fucking... That's the worst deal I've ever heard. They did the same thing with Darryl Strawberry, who died, by the way. They deferred like 40% of his, his 1990 $1.8 million team option at a 5.1% interest rate, and it pays $1.64 million. It started in 2004 and will end in 2033. But obviously, Strawberry now with us, so it's tamed through a life.
Here's what I'm
insurance
wondering:
company.
how did they agree on the number of 8%? Because if you could show me a CD or a savings account or a bond that returns 8% a year, point me in that direction, and I am putting every fucking penny I own into said bond or asset or CD. How the hell did they come up with the number of 8% a year? That is insane.
You know, and
That is crazy.
Yeah, so what? Basically, the reasoning behind this, they've never really came out and talked about it. But if you guys don't remember, what they're called, the Will Pawns, not the Will Bonds, the Will Pawns. They had a lot of accounts under a man, an infamous man, especially in New York, Bernie Madoff.
Oh boy, Ponzi scheme extraordinaire.
Yeah, and so. Basically, he was saying they were like, "Oh no, we get 12 to 15% returns from the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme thing." By the way, which were all fictional. So basically, what happens is they sign this with the idea that, oh no, we're making tons of money with this Madoff shit. Like, it's fine.
Oh, really? So the Mets got caught up in the Madoff thing?
Yeah.
I did not realize that. Wow. See, well, there you go. That makes sense how you could have 8%, which is a stupid number. Well, what this is, kids, is this will teach you, no, do not buy that $400 Xbox on credit over the course of the next 4 years. Wait till you have $400 and buy that fucking Xbox, because you'll end up spending $800 on that stupid thing. That is insane. They will spend $29 million to get rid of 5.
So, Jake, you asked earlier, where does this come from? So, clear. We talked about before the fact that baseball contracts seem to be crazy. This seems to be a common thing in Major League Baseball. I'm looking at another
deferred contracts.
Deferred deals. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at another ESPN article from 2012, and they're listing a bunch of different deferred articles or deferred contracts talking about the Bobby Bonilla thing. You've got like Manny Ramirez is going to be paid through 2026. Ryan Braun, July 1st in 2022, July 1st becomes Ryan Braun Day as well, because starting on July 1st, 2022, he gets paid about $2 million a year until 2031.
Oh my gosh.
That's like a fucking retirement plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
it's so fantastic.
Gary Sheffield.
Now, John, I have a question about that. Does he have to give that $2.2 million to Aaron Rodgers to then give to that fan who he made the bet with that he wasn't doing steroids? Does he have to give that money up to that guy?
Ooh.
Is he going to finally help Aaron Rodgers live up to his bet? You sack of shit, Rodgers.
Uh-oh.
You made a bet, don't welch on it.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Coming out strong.
Shots.
Coming out strong on Rodgers.
Fired.
But this also happens with a couple of deals. Like, for example, one of my favorites is in college football. Gene Chizik, who was with Auburn for a number of years, like 3, wins a national championship through a whole bunch of dirty shit, gets investigated, completely falls apart, gets fired. He was the guy who was there when Cam won the national championship, and he comes out, he renegotiates his deal the year after they win the national championship. He's getting paid like $6.5 million. He gets fired 2 years later. He's on the books for another like 6 years after this. They go out and hire Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn, his second year, gets them to the national championship game. That's when they lost to Florida State. Renegotiates his deal. He's getting paid less than they're still paying Gene Chizik. That is mind-blowing. They are paying a former coach more than they're paying their current coach. That's like if you got divorced and you were paying more in alimony than money you give to your new wife for her allowance during the week or something like that. That's fucked.
That is
fucked.
I think probably the most famous is the Steve Young 43-year payout that he's getting. He gets $1 million a year from the USFL starting, for
that's right.
43 straight years. So that's another big one. But there's a couple that aren't in baseball. First of all, there was another one in baseball. Ichiro's getting paid until 2032. Ken Griffey Jr. is going to get paid until he's 54 years old. And, these guys are all getting multi-million every time I list this off. But there's some
Play
Right.
baseball, kids.
yeah, exactly.
Play baseball.
There are some
Hey, and John on sorry, go
crazy
ahead.
non-baseball contracts though. And
And John, on the USFL thing, wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, because if he's being paid by the holding company that owned the USFL, didn't Donald Trump buy all of the USFL's debt? Doesn't he own the rights to the USFL?
oh, I don't know. I have no idea. Does he
I
really?
seem to think that I seem to think
I know he
Donald
was
Trump
involved
owns
at
it.
one point. I don't know where it's at now.
Shit, that could be insane.
I'm pretty sure he owns the rights to the USFL, so I'm pretty sure that it's Donald Trump who's having to pay Steve Young that money for the next 43 years or whatever it is.
So here's where it can get nasty for deferred payments, though. Wayne Gretzky is still owed $8 million by the Coyotes. He's been listed as an unsecured creditor and may never see that money. This is the one, though. This one blows my mind. You've got to listen to the details of this contract. The source on this is ESPN. It's an article from 2012 by Doug Mittler titled Prolonged Paydays. You've got to listen to the bullshit that is this contract. Let me get to it.
And while John's looking that up, that is astounding that, it'd be one thing if there were just some player, but to have Wayne Gretzky, widely regarded as either the number one or number two after Howe, to have him be a guy who's getting dicked around as an unsecured creditor with the Coyotes really is just astounding that you would do that to that guy. It's one thing if you dick around, I don't know, let's say like Steve Francis for some money, but when you dick around Michael Jordan, that's not okay.
No, you're absolutely
Stevie
right.
franchise.
The franchise, baby.
My computer's being stupid and I can't get to it. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys.
No, I know that.
The
I
other
know
one's got to edit it.
No, I know. I just feel bad because I don't like when I break the flow for dumb shit like this.
Your flow.
So, all right, come the fuck on, you asshole. Why does it keep jumping? Get there.
The asshole or the cum that's coming on the asshole?
What the fuck? God damn
Okay,
it,
so here
Lou.
we go. So, Lou, Jake, listen to this
Yes.
contract. Ilya Kovalchuk.
Will do.
Ilya
Kovalchuk?
Listen to this fucking contract.
Wait, now what sport is this for those of
This
us
is
out there
hockey.
who don't? Okay,
Hockey.
This is hockey.
Kovalchuk signed a 17-year, $102 million deal with the Devils in 2010. A deal that will keep him on the books through the 2027 season. Kovalchuk will earn $6 million this season, $11.5 million for the following 5 seasons, $10.5 million in the 2017-18 season, $8.5 in the 18-19, $6.5 in the 19-20, $3.5 in the 2021, $750,000 the next season, and then $550,000 a year for each of the 5 final seasons of the deal.
wow.
And that's all guaranteed, right?
Yes.
Well, but here's the thing, though, is that's really. I was going to ask because I don't know anything about hockey. Is Kovalchuk? Is he still around, or is he retired, or does he still play? I don't know.
Lou, let me help you understand that contract better. I want to make sure you understand, by the way, he's been playing professional hockey since 1999, and he signed that 17-year deal in 2010. He was
Well, yeah. I mean, Gordie Howe played hockey until he was 92 years
right,
old or some shit like
but
that.
you heard the numbers of that contract. He's currently playing professional hockey in Russia.
He's not in the
He's
NHL.
not even playing in the fucking NHL. He's playing in the Continental Hockey League for SK St. Petersburg.
Good for him.
I mean,
Wow,
that is
man, what a deal!
unfreaking.
What a
By the
deal.
way, that's from Wikipedia, and they actually have a whole article about his retirement from the NHL. I've got to read this. I have to read this. I have to. Okay, this is Wikipedia, and I'm just going to read it so that you guys can react. On July 11th, 2013, Kovalchuk chose to quit the NHL at the age of 30. So that was 3 years after
30.
3 years after he signed that contract, right?
He's like, no, I'm good.
All right. Although the Devils
done.
manager knew that Kovalchuk had been considering retirement since before the 13 season, Kovalchuk's departure came as a surprise to the public. Upon his leaving, Kovalchuk had $77 million and 12 years remaining on his contract. Kovalchuk.
So, is the current GM who did that still with the Devils? Like, does he still have a job for this?
I don't have any idea. Let's see what it says down here, because I haven't proofread this yet. I'm reading it to you guys as we speak. Kovalchuk.
This is the kind of show we do here, ladies and gentlemen. We just kind of show up and we're gonna read shit to you that you could go read yourselves that you wouldn't read, but you might listen to us read it to you through our sultry voices.
Kovalchuk claimed he desired to return to Russia. It's speculated the money had quite an influence. Well, due to the higher total salary he'll receive, so I guess he must have abandoned the contract.
That's amazing.
Crash of the Russian ruble.
I just crash
Your
of
money,
the Russian ruble.
Yeah, it almost sounds
Your
like
money sounds funny.
It almost sounds like he abandoned the contract because he would have made more money playing in Russia, but the Russian ruble crashed, and now that contract is less lucrative than if he had just stayed here and played out the rest of his contract.
Plus, isn't he probably like a superstar hero, like, doesn't have to work for it on Twitter when he goes back to Russia?
That's really what it comes down to.
That's really what it is.
He's a real
all about
American
working
hero.
for it. So, with that being said, everybody, we're going to go work for it on Twitter. And you can find us at the Pine Bench. You can find me, Lou, at RTP the Talent. You can find Jake at Jake RTP. And also RTP Sports Guy. That's David. I think Ryan is at Ryan the Bench, at RAYNTP or the Bench, whichever it is. Just go to RTP.
It's Ryan the Bench RTP.
Ryan the Bench. So for John and Jake, this is Lou, and we appreciate you coming along with us on the SS Mediocrity's final voyage as we crash into the depressing iceberg that is my horrible narration skills. Appreciate it, everybody.
Hey Lou. Hey Lou.
What?
You forgot my Twitter. Do I?
Yeah, you're at the Pine Bench. You run the Pine Bench.
No, I have a.
Oh, I
I
forgot.
have one too. There. It's at RTP the Beard.
I thought you were just the Pine Bench.
Because I have a better beard.
I'm so garbage.
Than anyone else on the show.
So we're going to delete this part because that was a really nice segue.
Well,
go ahead, John.
Was it?